In this video, I want to show you how Sandeep, here he is, how he stopped making decisions for his team. When I first started working with him, he was only taking 2 or 3 holiday days per year for the last 16, 17 years in his business. Why? Because he was the one making all the decisions. His team was reliant on him. He was the one owning all the client relationships. He was the one doing all the sales meetings, sales conversations. The team, the business relied on him. That is not the case with Sandeep anymore. He has chosen to stop making decisions for his team and has confidence now to hand over to them. They have confidence in the work that they're doing. I'm going to show you exactly how he's done that in a second. I'm Dan Crompton. I'm the author of Let Them Lead, Manage Less and Empower More. And I'm sharing these strategies because work has changed more in the last 5 years than it has in the previous 30. And yet management training, leadership training hasn't caught up. Managers just have not had the chance to catch up. So that's why I'm sharing these strategies with you in these videos. So if you feel like you're the one kind of making all the decisions in your team, if you feel like your team is reliant on you, like you want them to step up a bit more, be a bit more self-sufficient, and like you want to have the confidence, the trust to be able to delegate to them to do good work, then the one tool that you need is the One Page Playbook. And I'm going to show you how to create that for yourself. Essentially, the One Page Playbook is how you make decisions. It is a short 1-page guide for your team of the principles behind how you make decisions. It can't be a document of every decision you ever make. That's just going to be too onerous. It's never going to get used. It is a principle, some headline principles of how you go about making the decisions that you do on a daily basis. You make those decisions with your eyes closed almost. And so it's codifying what are some of the principles behind that, so that your team, instead of coming to you all the time, they go to the One Page Playbook, and that helps them to make good choices. As Sandeep put it with his team, the One Page Playbook is the boss. So he uses it as a joke. When they come and ask him a question, he's like, go and ask the boss. The One Page Playbook is the boss of our business. So what are some of the principles that could go into your One Page Playbook? Some examples from Sandeep's business. He has one of the principles is the 1-3-1 rule. 1-3-1 rule. So that means that when his team come and ask him loads of questions and come and ask him for decisions, he says, in the playbook, we've got the 1-3-1 rule. What does that mean? That means that you've got one problem. So you're focusing on one thing at a time. The 3 is that you look up, or you come up with 3 possible solutions. And then the second one is you make 1 recommendation. So 1-3-1. So he tells his team, go do the 1-3-1 rule. So they come back with him, back to him a little later, and they say, yeah, look, I've thought of 3 solutions. Here's my recommendation. He said, and then Sandeep says, great, go off and do it. So he's there to support them, but he supports them via the One Page Playbook. Another rule that he's got, another principle he's got in his document is communicate. So he wants his team to constantly be communicating with clients, not after something's gone wrong, but 3 months before something might go wrong. Another principle he's got is we will never take a decision that negatively impacts our client's bottom line. So he's doing development projects, property development projects. And so it's just a guiding principle. Whatever choice you make to his team members, whatever choice you make, it cannot negatively impact our client's bottom line. So you can start to see how these principles, they're not going to catch every situation, but they're going to catch 80% of them. And they are broad principles of decision making rather than here's the answer to every single question that you might have. So how can you go about creating your own one-page playbook that becomes the boss of your team, so it helps them make good choices, make decisions with confidence, in a way that doesn't need you for every decision, doesn't need you for every action, doesn't need you on every client call? The best place to start is to look at your own client's journey. So what I mean by that is to map out the different stages of your client's experience when they're working with you, when they're working with your team. And at each of those stages, so it might be starting with marketing. So what are some of the principles about how we get business in? Then you go into sales, right? What are some of the principles around how we sell to people, the decisions that we might need to make at that point? Then you might look at the money and the invoicing and the fees and where we set our fees. What are some of the decisions or some of the principles behind the decisions that you want your team to be able to understand? Then you go into delivery. So actually delivering your service, delivering your product, the core client experience. What are some of the decisions that need to get made around that time? And then afterwards, you might want to look at follow-up or repeat business or communicating with past clients. And then you may also want to look at just teamwork. So what are some of the principles around how we work together as a team? Now, the idea here is you've got to keep it to one page. Otherwise, it simply will not be used. But at the same time, you're not etching this into stone, right? This is a live, evolving document. Simplicity is key here. We're just looking for a handful, 10-ish, 10, 15 headlines for guiding principles of how we make decisions around here. And then as you're using it and as your team is using it, consult with each other, maybe change some, remove some, add some. It's a live, evolving document, depending on what's going on in the real world. So with this video, depending on where you're watching it, with this video, there is a document that gives you some prompt questions to help you create your own one page playbook. But let me just give you a couple of examples of those prompt questions. Again, working through your client's journey, working through the different stages. So when it comes to the early stage in terms of lead generation, some of the questions, the prompt questions you might ask yourself in order to define your own decision-making principles are things like which marketing channels or tactics are off limits for us versus which ones are an absolutely must-have for our lead generation campaigns. You might have principles around what are some of the non-negotiables we've got around our brand or how we communicate or where we communicate. You may want to consider what numbers are the most important to consider when we're making marketing decisions. Again, this isn't about having the answer to every conceivable situation. It's giving your team the guidance, the principles, the places to go to make the best decisions at any moment. In the sales section of your client's journey, one of the questions you might want to pose yourself is what is our process for following up on leads, chasing people or not chasing people? The next step would be the money side of things. So again, what kind of principles have we got around setting our fees? What principles have we got around discounts or deals or payment terms? On the delivery side of things, so in that phase of your client's journey, some of the prompt questions to ask yourself are, what do we do when someone makes a mistake at work or on one of our projects? What do we do when something goes wrong? What are some of our principles around how we communicate with our clients? What are some of the principles about how we learn to continuously get better and improve around, on the work that we do? And in the accompanying document, there's a whole bunch more questions like that just help you to codify how you're already making decisions. The considerations that you have whenever someone comes to you with a question, emails you and DMs you with questions. What is going through your mind when you make those decisions really quickly? What is going through your mind? And how can you codify those into principles that will help your team? The whole point here is that it gives you the confidence to step back, to prise your hands off the tools. It gives you confidence to delegate to your team. It gives them the confidence that they are making the right choices, because this is managing people in a very different way, and there is going to be a level of fear and nervousness on their part, and as well as on your part, in terms of the confidence and trust that people make the right choices. So all you can do is give them that trust, give them the resources, give them the guidelines that you are using in your own head already, and that's how you are able to step away from being the only person who can make decisions. I'm happy to say that Sandeep, after just a few months of working on this stuff, he's been able to take his first 2-week holiday, was not needed, was not contacted, because his team had stepped up. They knew how to make decisions in his absence. So look, give the One Page Playbook a go. You need to put time aside to work through the prompt questions that are in the accompanying document, and simplicity is key. We want to keep it to one page. If you can get to just 2 or 3 principles in each of those sections of your client's journey with you, that's going to give you a one-pager to start with. If you need help working through this stuff. If you need help on how to implement this or how to communicate it with your team, please get in touch and let me know how you get on. It's always fascinating to hear both the good and the bad of the impact that working on this stuff has for you, as well as any challenges that you have with it. I can't wait to hear how you get on.